What's going on, guys? Bladezilla here, and today we're taking a look at another new production knife from Shirogorov. So we have done now a couple different variants of the Astrum over the last little while. I'd say, 6 months, 12 months, something like that, going back now. A couple years since they've kind of introduced it as a full custom. So we've gone through, I think, every iteration of this other than some full customs. And finally, we've arrived at the, I guess if you want to call it full production, but the production Astrum in M390 full tie. As I completely guessed when the first video came out of the first production, I said, hey, make me plain Jane tie with M390 and I'll be as happy as a clam. And here we are. This is exactly that knife. So that's what we're talking about today. Sit back, relax, grab yourself a beer, coffee, wine, Coke, whatever it is, and let's enjoy this together. So as a reminder, guys, check out my site, bladezilla.ca. That's it right there. Bladezilla.ca in Canada. Have lots of good stuff on here. Obviously, just threw up another Scott Cook, some Terrace 111s, some CKFs, some ProTechs. They seem to be getting popular, so lots of good stuff. Check it out, bladezilla.ca in Canada. Yes, we ship to the US. I get asked that often. It is a small part of the business, but it is also very easy to ship to the US compared to bringing stuff up into Canada. So it seems like a one-way direction. Okay, we're not talking about that. We're talking about this. So I need to focus the attention. Where to start, because right off the hop, this is also the first time I'm looking at this knife. I do not have a spec sheet on this beside me, so we're going to go through this together for the first time, and by the time this video is out as well, I'm assuming I should have this. I should have these up on the site, and probably this will be the one that I'll photograph. So lots of really cool stuff coming. So anyway, let's get this started. We'll start with some measurements, some weights. It feels the same as a first production, so I'm guessing it's not going to be a whole lot different. But let's get started. So I think the Astrum itself is 100 mils, but let's double check that. Let's see. So overall length, we were coming in at 8 7/8 overall, which is nice. Blade length of just under 4 inches. And remember, I believe it's 100 mils, so that's an important number. 4 inches is a very important number for legal carrying in a lot of places. And handle length of what, 5 and, not even 5, under 5, 4 3/4, something like that, depending on what we're looking at. So there you go. There's your critical dimensions. Weight, let's get that. But for some reason I thought these guys, when I first did this video, and it's been, like I said, it's been a little while, I thought this guy was under the ounce to inches range. But we'll check. Zero this off. Any guesses? I'm going, I don't know, 3.8, 3.9, 3.7, 3.8. Close. 3.8. 3.8. Huh. I just want to go ahead and I need to have that clip as like some kind of channel, what's the word I'm looking for? Preview. Be like, yeah, just super accurate guesses, even though 99% of them aren't even close. But I think that comes more from foresight of thinking about, or hindsight. I was thinking about when I did the Astrum first production, and then we did the Astrum Touch video, and I always thought it was under that 4 ounce weight. So I guess kind of some preface. I should have prefaced this by saying, that magic number, if it's their first time finding a Shirogorov video, I don't know when you're watching this. It could be 2024, it could be 2028, I don't know. But right now, the golden rule is kind of whatever the blade length is, they want it to weigh that, or less, in ounces. So this guy being a 4-inch blade, coming in at 3.8 is beautiful. Beautiful. Oh boy, where do we even start with this Astrum? So I guess the story on this started when I first saw a couple years back the Astrum. They had a couple full custom versions of this knife available, and they went upwards of $20, $25, $35,000 US. I think some even were in the 40s when they were first coming out, because it's such a unique looking knife, such a great looking knife, and I've always kind of said it's a big neon. Versus kind of a scaled down 111 or sorry, what was it? The Kickstop 110 more so than anything. And this guy is not big at hand, and a lot of people who get them, they don't realize it's a very normal sized long knife. So it's not big. So a couple years ago they came out with this, and I had asked around and talked to some pretty important people in the Shiro world, and I had asked, what's your favorite Shirogorov knife? And normally it's, some people are very much quantum people, full-size quantum people. Some people are really into F95s. Some people are neon people. It really just depends on your hand size. Others are really into the stellar size, and now I guess the MIDI Q, the MIDI quantum. And this person I'd asked, without hesitation, said the Astrum design is by far their favorite Shirogorov ever made. And I was kind of taken aback because I hadn't seen it, hadn't learned too much about it, and super eager to learn more about the knife. I just patiently waited because I'm not paying those 25,000 plus price tags on a knife. That's lunatic land. But I'm not saying they're not worth that. But me myself simply cannot. I cannot pay that kind of money for a knife. Wish I could, but I can't. Fast forward, and I think there was an Astrum Sprint Run knife that popped up, and I was able to jump on that. And then the Astrum Custom Division knife. I did videos on both, and then Astrum first production video came along, then the Astrum Touch. So now we've got 4 versions of the knife, and this will now be the 5th that I would say are more attainable for most people. Sprint Run, Custom Division, first production, Astrum Touch, and now Astrum, I don't know if you want to just call it production or full production or whatever, but this is your standard Astrum. Much like the Stellar journey was the entire last year, it went through the same thing and finally arrived at the Stellar full regular production. And lo and behold, it's the knife that I have, usually in my wife's glove box, because that's somehow it ends up there. And that's another conversation. I don't know. I don't ask these questions, but sometimes it ends up there. If you guys have followed the channel over the last year plus, you'll know I've always liked plain Jane tie. Sometimes with a little bit of pizzazz to it, a little add-on, and otherwise I just like tie. Stonewash tie, give it to me all day with some milling, and I love it. And that's what this knife is. So you're taking that Astrum design that's been around now for a few years, and more so available for the last 6 months to 12 on the Sprint Run, Custom Vision, etc., and then into the production world land now. And here we are, an absolute heavy hitter production knife that I really feel this is going to be a very popular knife for a lot of people, and it's going to give access to the design to a lot of people who have never really felt the size of this knife in hand and are going to instantly connect with it. I can tell you that right away. So let's start with some comparisons. I've got a few knives pulled out here that we can kind of compare it with, and get started. So, we're going to spend some time with the neon, just because I always said that to me the Astrum is a big neon, and I actually read it in a Facebook group recently. Somebody else brought that up, so it felt really nice that I was not the only one saying this now. But just look at it, right? If we look at the neon, first of all, the size of the handle, dimensionally, but more so the shaping of the handle. Obviously, we've got a a liner lock versus a frame lock. Let's take that out of it. Just the physical dimensions of the knife feel very much like a neon, right? The ergonomics in hand definitely feel neon. Just this kind of the sweep and then that nice flow back. There's no hard angles. And this is a neon light, if anyone's asking. It's a very normal, attainable knife. I don't know if I have any on the site right now. I think I might be out of stock. But certainly looking to bring more of them in. I love the neon, and it's just such a great... To me, it's always been like a bug out. You know, a Russian titanium-made folder bug out with a flipper tab and multi-row bearings. But anyway, so there's your neon. And if I put it up here, it's going to look real small. We'll just, maybe I'll keep this in the middle and we'll just kind of go through this kind of side by side so you can kind of get a feel for the knife on both sides of the scale. The Stellar, which is a size up from the neon but is a little bit shorter than the Astrum. So there's your Stellar, right? So a couple things. Look at the ergos, right, of the handle, right? Ergos, and then it's just a different roll to the handle, much taller, thicker. To me, a Stellar feels bigger in hand than the Astrum. Just keep that in mind. There it is on top, which is probably a little more accurate for size. My Monkey Edge Frag Quantum, which seems to never leave me. There you go. Size-wise, very similar. So if you can carry a Quantum or an F95, you will certainly be able to carry an Astrum without any problems. Just look at the dimensions of this and the sizing of this. I've got my F95 here. There you go. So dimensionally very similar, right, as the Quantum. But once again, a little bit taller handle. This particular Quantum is actually very similar width-wise as the Astrum, this particular one. Some are thicker and whatever, but this one is very, very much similar in hand. Grab that away. Yes, I have the, we'll do the Loxa. There you go. Loxa is not the right word. There you go. I just added one of these to the site. I can't remember what one's on the site. I think it's number 40 something. This guy's currently number 52, which is never going to leave my hand. But there you go. There's a comparison of the Astrum versus the Scott Cook Russian flipper. Super, super sick knife. Get those while you can. They're going to be lock and key at some point. But size-wise, once again, fairly similar. Other than the Astrum, just a little bit longer, right? Super sick knife. Put that guy away. Is there anything else you want to do? A Russian? You can do that too. Russian overkill for size. We're starting to get into knives that really aren't the same type of thing, but you're kind of seeing my collection in terms of like plain Jane, right? This is me, plain Jane tie with a fancy blade. That's always been what I've liked, you know. And it's just funny how that works. And I say these in videos, oh yeah, these are my knives, I love having them, but until you truly feel the impact of, you know, hey, here's 10 different knives, and lo and behold, they're literally all plain Jane tie with very little kind of going on otherwise. There you go. The Astrum and the Bio, very similar, I'd say. Very similar. The Bio is a little thinner, a little thicker of a knife, but very much, if you like the Bio, you'll love the Astrum. I'm confident in saying that. And just kind of look at the roll, the belly of the handle, look at the curvature. Very similar. The back end's a little different, but I'm certain that if you like the Astrum or if you like the Bio, vice versa, you'll enjoy both. So there you go. There's a bit of a rundown. If you've watched The Office, you'll know what the rundown is. That's a pretty funny little line on those guys. And then I've also wanted to include the Sebenza Large and Small, because I've been kind of throwing them in some of my later videos, and every now and then People actually comment like, thank you for throwing in the Savenza. It's always good to see that from a comparisons perspective. So there you go. Large and small Savenza, if you have not ever seen a Shirogorov and are just kind of curious about what the sizing looks like. And I'll flip these one more time, because as you know, I film these with a camera sitting at a bit of an angle so that light can kind of go on top. So there's your small, there's your large, and maybe I can hold that like that. There you go. Cool. I think I spent enough time showing knives. Let's talk about this one. So, like I said, I do not have a spec sheet on it quite yet, but I guess we can start with it's run on multi-row bearings, the same multi-row bearings that are on a lot of the other knives. They're fantastic, they're terrific, they've got a lot of other descriptive words I can use to basically say that you'll want them, okay? And once you have them, you won't really want anything else. MRBS, multi-row bearing system, is Shirogorov's, I guess, second tier, used on a lot of their high-end production knives. And from there, they jump right into roller bearings. So that's kind of how the Shirogorov world runs. They start with single row bearings, SRB, or SRBS, single row bearings, which is a standard ball bearing in a track, like this, gotcha. And then we go into the MRBS, which is kind of a pinwheel design, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I believe this is 3, but it's kind of like a curved rays of the sun outward. And that's more to add stability of the side-to-side blade contact. You're really increasing the contact angle, or not angle, how can I say this? You're increasing the size of the contact on the metal and the blade, so it adds side-to-side rigidity and stability. Action-wise, they're actually very similar between the two. From there, we go into single-row roller bearings, which are needle bearings, and I always say they're hot dogs. If you don't know what a needle bearing is, they're hot dogs around a circle, boop, 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 and they feel fantastic. And a lot of the knives, like this, I'll move that out of here. This guy's on roller bearings, and it's some of the smoothest bearings that Shiro does is the roller bearings. Now, MRBS will get there a lot of the time, so just keep that in mind. They need to be broken in, and I've been finding they've been coming with a bit of a wax lately from the factory. So I don't know what that is. Maybe it's like a bike chain wax kind of thing, but a lot of people raw dog them. They'll clean them up and just literally run them with nothing on the bearings, just totally clean. Other people like to run like a real lightweight, 5 weight or whatever, nano oil on there, and that works very good as well. But yeah, they will break in over time. In terms of the knife itself, and man, this thing's like a fingerprint magnet. I'm sorry, I'm just too excited. I guess the knife, a couple things that I would kind of look at here, and the first that kind of screams out at me a little bit is this front handle. The milling on this looks a little different than the first production. Am I crazy? This looks more spread out, and maybe I can focus on that a little better here. I would have thought this would be identical to the first production Astrum in every single way, but I'm just looking between the two sides here, and I don't remember them being different dimensionally, and this looks kind of pushed out a little bit. So they may have changed that, they may have not, I might be crazy. But my gut instincts are usually correct on these types of things. They're usually close. And to me, that looks a little bit different. They may have adjusted that milling. Don't know why. But that's what I noticed compared to this side. I still love to say that that's the B for Bladezilla when it's absolutely not what it's intended for, but I'll take it. On the other side, near the pivot here, we've got a captive pivot system still. And we've got some real tight, nice milling, and I think on the, what did I call this little thing here, this triangular milling, I called it like the bear claw or something in one of the videos, and it kind of stuck. I still kind of get that. Looks pretty cool. It's obviously stone-washed / fingerprinted, but it's stone-washed tie, so it's going to go for years in your hand, in your pocket, and really not show any signs of wear. We still have the 5 and 5, I believe, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 drilled holes on the sides, and then back on the bottom of the handle. Now these little dimples here are all different sizes as well, still, which looks awesome. We still have the Shirogorov Bear on the heel of the handle instead of the blade, which I love, and would always recommend that they keep doing that. It's just such a nice spot for it versus the blade. Speaking of that blade, M390, which, is it still on this side? Yep. M390 on the blade, looks great. M390 is kind of a gold standard right now for a lot of people in terms of it holds a real sharp edge, super strong, holds that edge pretty long, but it's also soft enough that you can work on it yourself and not really struggle with sharpening it. So just a good all-arounder. You know, the industry's really pushing a lot of people to say MagnaCut's the better of the two right now, but I think the jury's still out on that. We'll wait and see if that's 5 years down the line still a thing, but M390, a lot of people love it, myself included. Still love it, and couldn't think of any better material to throw on a standard production Astrum. If we're looking inside this thing, I'm guessing we've got the same milling because it was still under 4 ounces. So we've got the same skeletonization that the first production would have on it. And is that backspacer floating? Oh, it is too. Look, see the gaps? The gaps in the light there? So that was on the first production, that floating backspacer. That's beautiful. I would love to see one of these cracked open and see if there's any kind of Easter eggs hiding inside here. Just from looking in, I can see that on the liner, there's a Shiro Bear hiding in there. That's pretty cool. I love this kind of stuff. The tolerances still feel identical to what I remember on the first production. Everything's nice and tight. We even have the centering line on the back of that backspacer. And let's see where this guy lands inside it. Dead center. You know, these are the kinds of details, like, honestly guys, if you got one of these in your hand, the video is going to not do any of this justice. You get one of these in your hand, and then you'll realize what I'm talking about is how tight these tolerances are here. Or is that the word I'm looking for? How I said this wrong once. The tolerances here, it's just, there's like no room, yet it looks like there is. Anyway, it's done really, really well. Dead center. That backspacer just pokes out of the handle just a little bit to make room and house that blade, which is stunning. Back to the blade, I believe it's still 3 mil. It looks 3 mil. Could be wrong. No, that's 3 mil. And just a good overall thickness. That's just such a solid 3 mil is perfect for this knife. Balance, I'm assuming behind the handle we're still balanced. Let's take a look. There you go, right behind it. Perfectly balanced behind the pivot. That's all you can ask for. So 3 mil blade, I think that looks different. Could be wrong. Maybe it's just the fact that it's no longer blue ano. Maybe that's why the gaps seem different, but I don't know. I'll have to look that up. Just because I don't recall these being different between the two. Anyway. Backspacer should be tie as well. And just looking at this might be different too. Why would they change that? To me, this backspacer looks a little different. I always thought it was a little more rounded than this. So they may have changed that. But maybe it's just been so long since I've seen it. Maybe I'm losing it. I'm a little tired right now, and I spent a week from home, actually. And I've got a pile of knives to catch up on here. But maybe it's just me. I always thought this gearing was a little smoother, a little more... no, maybe not. Who knows? I think I'm overthinking this. Maybe they didn't change that, but who knows? Maybe they did. I'll have to look. If they did, give me credit, guys. Give me credit if I'm picking up on any of these things that are different. If I didn't, don't judge me. Just say, you know what, haven't had 5 to 7 cups of coffee as normal today, so there you go. We still have the kind of large and small tool sizes on this guy as well, as you can see. You know, if you're going to buy a Shirogorov, especially at this price point, I think these ones are $1,300 US, I think. List, table, whatever you want to call it. So in Canada, he'll be within $100 or so, a couple $100 of that, I'm guessing, conversionally. But if you're going to spend that kind of dough, you know, you can use, if you in a pinch to take this guy apart, you could use a penny or a credit card folded on itself for that hardware. You don't want to ding it up. You don't want to mar it. Just get the tool, okay? Send me a note. I'll try to find you a tool. I'm sure they're out there. But actually, now thinking out loud, that Cyber tool's been delisted for a little while. They need to get another tool here pretty soon. But get yourself a tool. And then that way the bits fit perfectly in there and you're never going to damage it. Because a knife like this would be the perfect carry for me. I love neons, I love F95s. And to me this is like an F95 and a neon made sweet, sweet Russian flipper nighttime on vodka and came up with like the big neon. So there you go. It's beautiful. It's just such a good size in hand. And ticks all the boxes, and it's going to be a user, it's going to be a carry. I can tell you right now, this will be my carry, without a doubt. This will be in my case, next to my Stellar, next to my Neon. It's just such a nice knife. Such a good size. What else can I talk about? Let's see here. In hand, super comfortable. That clip hides underneath your palm. It's flat, it's all beveled and rounded off. And that disappears right into your palm. Beautiful. Your jimping on the blade is just nice and perched. It's short and has an impact. That's what she said. But it's really, really comfortable. It just is exactly where my thumb is. If you wanted to go down the blade, you could. It's still flat on top, so you could absolutely go down there if you wanted to. Not that you need to, but you could. I always like this little fighter jet window right here. That's what I call that, the like cockpit view. I think that looks real sick. Has probably very little performance in any way on the knife. It just looks like you're getting a high-end knife with a little feature like that. I think that looks awesome. Beautiful. If we kind of go back underneath, we by the way, this knife has I think what they call an apron on it as well, so there will be a little tab inside there you can kind of mess with and space things perfectly, but it prevents dirt from kind of getting into the lock. So real nice, and more so than anything leads to a very consistent and very intelligent design on how they kind of made this knife. So I think they did that on the Stellar when they started, but they call it an apron, so that's in there on this design, which was carried over from the Astrum Burst production to the Astrum Touch. Just super sick. And this is the kind of stuff I always love when I roll this knife. That lock bar is sitting right up off the other side of the knife. And I always show this with my Hattie because it's just like such a good emphasis. So if I roll this up, look at the lock on this side, how it's higher than the other side. So it's just so easy to grab and access that lock, and they maintain that on the Astrum. I love that. It's so comfortable, and it's just the milling. I don't know if you're watching this in 4K or 1080, but there's some real nice tight milling lines in there that look solid. I did mention it had a captive pivot, which is awesome as well. I'm trying to think what else. Is really here that I'm missing. Same clip. Oh, that clip is still attached internally. That's I'm going to tuck this blade in so I don't cut myself. That is noteworthy as well. So if you look underneath, you see we got two little screws hiding in there. So that is the inside. That's the frame lock side. Or sorry, the liner lock. That's held in. So think of it as like a tab that's bent over inside. That's attached internally. There's the screws for that, but it's hidden by the clip. You don't see it. Beautiful. The clip itself appears to be attached internally. Yep, right inside there. You can just kind of get a little taste of it. I'm going to grab the light just to show you guys if you're curious. But just pay attention right kind of where the clip attaches to the frame. There's that bolt. You can just see it sticking out there inside. It's kind of countersunk, obviously, so it doesn't stick into the blade, but that's just a very clever little hidden feature. I love that stuff. Just gorgeous, man. Silky smooth action. I'm looking forward to watching Fablade's video on what if he gets one of these and takes it apart. I just drool over his stuff when he just busts it down into complete disassembledness. It's so cool to look inside these things and see how they're all put together, and then he rebuilds them. Love that stuff. Oh, gorgeous. In terms of other features, the flipper tab on this, look how close it is. It's forward of center, and I find, just personally, it feels a little small on the Astrum, and it's something you do have to kind of get used to. Small being that it's just above the frame. It's a compact, large knife, is how I would describe it. So you kind of just have to get used to that. The tab is obviously bigger than like a cami tab, but it's just something you've kind of got to get used to. For people with small hands, they may not like this knife, and I think just the size of it dimensionally may kind of keep them away, because they may not actually be able to reach that flipper tab with it in hand, right? You're holding it, carrying it. For me, you can see I've got lots of room to access it, but say your hand's back here, right? It'd be harder to reach. It's a big neon, keep that in mind. So for me, no issues. The tab is pretty small, but that's by design. Zero issues there. I've always said this. I'm waiting. You know, make me an Astrum Mini. Like, look at this thing. How hard would this be to duplicate? Do this in that size, and you'll sell a ton of them. I've been saying this now for a year, ever since I think I got my hands on that Astrum Sprint Run, and as soon as I connect the dots on this, I said, make me an Astrum Mini, and those are going to sell like hotcakes. They're just so good. Or I don't know if you'd even call it that. I don't even know if you'd change the name of it or whatever. Anyway, it'd be a cool knife. It'd be a super cool knife. So yeah, love the clip. Love that on this side as well you've got the blanks. And the more I see this side of the knife with that milling underneath the clip, the more I feel like that looks further apart than what I remember after seeing it a second time here. So I'm gonna bold decision. I'm saying they adjusted that for some reason, but I'm like unwilling to commit to it because it's not anode blue. So I think my gut's telling me it's different, but we'll see. Which one looks better? I don't know. You kind of get both flavors here, I think, if I'm guessing. And like I said, I love the blanks on both sides. That looks so sick. The blank hardware. How is this going to fit in your collection? Let's think about that. So, you know, it's a 4-inch blade. Well, consciously just under 4 inches. It's a sub 4-inch blade. It's long. It's a lot smaller in hand than what you'd think it would be. I'll tell you that right now. If it's the first time coming to your door and flipping and holding one, it's going to be a lot thinner, tighter tolerances than what you think it will be. And I'm fairly certain it's going to become a lot of people's new favorite carry because of the size to blade ratio. It's just so good and so lightweight for that 4-inch blade. It feels like a long bug out in your pocket, but with a liner lock, with the titanium, with M390. And I haven't even, we're probably half an hour in, I haven't even talked about any of the cool, you know, milling all the way around and how they just knocked it right out of the park, as always. You know, all the bevel lines, all the horizontal kind of lines, the drilling, all the, like, everything's just done so well. There's no hot spots on this. I actually didn't see where they put MRBS, because normally they put it up in the frame here on the inside, but I'm guessing they put it down on this somewhere. Are we seeing that? Yes. So I don't know if I'll grab my light here. don't know if it's going to show or not, but it's on the inside here. That's a nice little feature. That's cool. MRBS inside the tip of the knife. I wonder why they did that instead of just inside here. That's interesting. But I think the first production was like that too, and maybe there's just no room. So, super cool knife. I personally will be grabbing this one, and also this won't be the one that gets photographed on the site, sadly. So I apologize in advance if you see some fingerprints in the middle of the knife. But this is exactly what I've been looking for. You know, plain Jane, M390, really good access to parts and availability. I don't know what hardware is used on this for the rebuild kits. I think we offer 7 of them right now, or 6 of them. I'll have to double check which version of that kit would apply to the Astrum, but I imagine the screw heads and ball bearings would be very similar to some of the other knives, but just other parts won't obviously fit. So I'm assuming at some point they're going to put together an Astrum kit or a Stellar kit at some point as well. But in the meantime, you know, fresh new knife to play with and go out and carry and report back on my findings. And, oh man, there's even milling underneath the backspace. I didn't even see that the first time. See that? Oh, I need to open one of these up and see what's going on, because it looks sharp. Looks good. Gorgeous knife, man. Absolutely gorgeous. Silky smooth action, great size. Ticks all the boxes for me. And if I've got a friend looking for a first taste of Shirogorov, it's hard to not steer them towards an Astrum. It's just, it's got all the Shirogorov flavors, man. Like perfect size, lots of really nice milling, good materials, multi-row bearings, the feel, the action, the quality, it's all there. And now there's going to be more of these available than 50 or 100. Like they're actually going to be available, which is amazing, because now I can kind of offer it to the next group of people that are excited to try it out, but aren't willing to completely overpay for it, which is awesome. Now, I always pose this question, as with the Stellar, where do you go from here if you're making this knife? Do you stop and go, that's it? Or do you make a lower end version of this? Not lower end, but a more value oriented. So maybe you kind of go the way of that neon light that I have, and you start, you know, you just punch a standard version of it. Right? Plain Jane, no milling. Chromax. I'm curious, does this knife go that direction in a year or two? I have a feeling it will. I don't know why it wouldn't. I don't know why the Stellar hasn't yet. The Stellar has been going, like, still selling a ton of Stellars. But now, that's been about a year now since the Stellar's been around, so maybe we'll see the next chapter of that design, that size. And that'll be exciting if they go that direction, for sure. But get this while you can. Grab them while you can. They're typically in big batch productions. And I remember when the Stellar first came out, you know, I think I had them for half a day, and then it took another 6-8 weeks until I was able to replenish, just because they had gone on and done a batch of something else, a special edition or whatever. And with Shiro, as you know, like, they just launched the 111 Terrace. So I'm assuming over the next 12 months we're going to see 3 different versions of that knife. I'm just guessing, just like they did on the F3 special editions. So if there's a Terrace, there's probably a batch of whatever, what were they? Ignis, Terrace, Aquatic, and what was there one more of? I can see the picture of it. It's like a blue handle, whatever. I just can't remember what color it was. Or, sorry, what they called it. Fire, Earth, Wind. It was Wind. But anyway, so yeah, I'm assuming there's going to be those coming down the pipe in the next 12 months. So as they do these batches, you know, things like making these, I would assume, get put on hold for a month here and there, and all of a sudden 2 months goes by and people are sending emails asking when I'm getting more M390 neons in, or F95 neon, or F95 M390s, or quantum, etc. So I've got a stack of these that are going to go up on the site in parallel with the video that's launching. So hopefully you can get your hands on one, but I think this is going to be an absolute home run for the team and for Shirogorov and for the end customer. At the end of the day, there's going to be a lot of happy guys carrying Shiro Astrums. So yeah, I am curious again if my two initial gut instincts of the handle being a little different here on that milling and that backspacer being a little more bold, a little sharper, is right. Because I thought they were more rounded. So anyway, I'm curious on that. Hopefully I'm erring more on the right side than wrong. But if I'm wrong, definitely let me know below, because it's not going to hurt my feelings. Thank you guys for stopping by. Check out bladezilla.ca. Check out the Astrum production M390 on the site. Like I said, bladezilla.ca. These will be shipping from Canada anytime here. And then follow me on TikTok, follow me on YouTube, hit the thumbs up button, like, subscribe, share, whatever. And then the main one now, guys. Find me on Facebook. I added bladezilla.ca on Facebook account. I made it. It's done. So I have like 25 or 30 people following me. I'm going to put a code on the site that will be some point in December, just a code for Facebook for a discount. So follow me there if you want a deal. Alright guys, have yourself a fantastic week. Enjoy it. Thanks for checking out the Shiro Astrum M390 production, and we will be in touch soon. Peace.